Okay, can you all hear me? Excellent. Okay. And you can see what you're meant to see. Good. So, good morning, everybody. I would speak in Finnish, but then you would not understand anything I say. So, if I start going too fast, then just sort of do something like this and I'll slow down a little bit if I get excited. So, today I'm here to talk about how games inspire attention and how they can nurture growth. And I start who I am. So I really don't like putting such a big picture of my face here, but I couldn't make it any smaller either with the template I was using. So I am a game designer at Psyon Games, and probably the main thing that defines me is I love games. I've loved them since I was very little. I love board games, I love games with my friends, and I love digital computer games. But I don't just like shooting people and running around and playing violent games. What I most love is games that give me something to grow with. So games that inspire me, they make me think, or they open a new world to me that I had no idea about. And why I'm working in Psyon Games is because that's exactly what we're trying to make there. Games that inspire people and then help them to grow and learn new things. And at the moment, I'll get more back to this a bit later on. So, I'm guessing that you might have noticed games are brilliant distractions. You may have noticed people getting, suddenly your phone rings and they're playing a game and oh dear. So our attention is our capacity to remain focused on one thing. And sometimes something draws us away from what we're doing. And I was trying to come up with an example on this slide, and I was feeling this kind of pressure because writing slides is quite hard. And my phone actually at that point, it rang. And it was my brother had just killed me in a game. Great. So I had to go and deal with that for a few minutes. So I was actually distracted by that. And I think probably you all agree that games are really, really good at distracting people from what they should be or maybe would be better doing. But they're not only good at distracting, they're also very, very good at holding a person's attention. So you may have heard this idea of one more turn, or maybe just 5 more minutes, Mum, or no, Dad, I'm getting killed. I can't cook anything right now. I can't let my team down. So they're extremely good at holding attention. And the funny thing is that you don't have to tell anyone, okay, I want you to sit down and play this video game for 3 hours, and I don't want you to be distracted, and then after that you can do your homework. It's never that way around, because games have this kind of intrinsic enjoyability. People do it because it's fun to do it. There are some exceptions where it's just addictive, but usually it's for pure enjoyment, thrill of the action. So one of the I picked out 5 properties here. There are quite a few more. This is quite a sort of deep topic, but I didn't want to go too deep. Some of the most important things games do is that they clearly define how to win. So if I tell you all to go and stand in the hallway, you'll all understand, okay, it's out there. But if I said, everyone go somewhere where it's safe, if a fire starts here, it's not clear what the solution is. So games define it's safe from fire out there. Then they also make it winnable. So if this was a game, I'm making this up as I go along here, the game is everyone needs to get into the hallway to escape the fire. And if I lock both the doors, it's not a very fun game for you. Oh, we seem to be running a terrible experiment here. So games make clear, games are winnable. You can't, they don't generally feel unfair. They might be very difficult. I might put a pile of obstacles there to make it a bit more fun, but it's still possible to escape from the fire. And it's clear that it is possible too. And then another thing that they are really good at doing is giving you immediate feedback on your actions. So this is really natural in life. If you're cooking something and it starts to smell like it's burning, I don't know why all my examples are about fire today. Okay, if you're walking across a rope bridge and you feel the plank starting to slip a bit, you know it's time to get off the rope bridge pretty quickly. You have an immediate feedback in reality. And games are extremely good at this. You usually know immediately the outcome. If you take a classic violent video game, if you shoot someone, they die. And games that don't do that, even in that category, are a lot less fun. The games that you'd expect, super violent games, if they don't have this immediate feedback, people just don't enjoy them. Whereas, for example, yesterday morning I was playing a beautiful game where you are actually, you become a cat, and you run around, and you have paws, and all you have to do is just go like this. And then eventually, you know, oh, it's kind of fun, isn't it? I'm a cat. And you know how it's going to end up. So you just have to push everything off the shelves. And it has this immediate feedback. So it's thoroughly enjoyable. And all games put the player, obviously, in direct control of themselves or what they're doing. So you feel like you're in control. You may be on a track. You don't know it because you feel like you're making choices. So these are actually some of the fundamental properties of flow, which is was the topic of my words. Flow is probably one of the most universally good feelings that you can have. I would guess, who here has never felt in the zone or become totally absorbed in something? No one's brave enough to say they haven't, but I'm guessing who has felt that? So these experiences when you're in the zone, you're usually in this, you mostly have teaching background, right? I see quite a lot of nods. So usually when you're in flow, you're in this zone of proximal development. You're on the fine edge where you're learning at the fastest rate you can. You're totally absorbed. You start to forget the sense of self, and you become a kind of one with what you're doing. When you're writing a story or reading a book, you don't think, this is a great book, I'm reading it. You know, you are Artemis jumping across the bridge. So games are almost universally designed with this in mind. You won't find many game designers that don't know this theory and use it completely throughout the game. And the funny thing is that actually you don't meet many teachers either that aren't aware of this concept. You know, in the ideal situation, you will set goals for the students that are always exactly just what they want to be doing. So teachers are kind of like game designers, and game designers are kind of like teachers. So I hope I have not skipped. I'm going to just scroll something very quickly to check I didn't skip like 8 slides. This happens sometimes. Yeah, so when you are playing a game, when you're learning something in a school, there are a lot of similarities. And again, I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, I think. And if I don't, you can remind me to finish what I was saying now. So, games are really good. They can distract you, they can ring, get a notification, and they can hold your attention. But if you're in the classroom or in other situations, can games actually be beneficial? Who thinks yes? Pretty good. That's almost everyone, actually. okay, then I'm gonna go. Yeah, so I've not always found this to be the case. I've actually found myself a couple of times in quite a lot of trouble, usually with teachers or my parents, related to this topic. So now I lost control of my slides. Yeah. How strange. I'm selecting the slides here, but it won't let me scroll through them. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the really brutal thing. I'm just going to restart my presentation because I think actually PowerPoint crashed. I'm using PowerPoint 2004. Okay, I'm back. So keep your version of Office up to date, and then Microsoft won't embarrass you. So when I was very young, I don't actually know how old exactly, roughly I would guess it was alakoulu, probably middle of alakoulu. I don't like going outside. There's so much bad stuff out there. There's rain and sun and physical activity. So what I used to do is I snuck into the computer room and I used to play this game, Zumbinis, and oh my, I was in so much trouble when they figured out. Because me and my friend Amit, we nearly completed this game. But when they found out, it got removed. Oh, so I had to get it again when I was older to finish it. But what I didn't realize was this was, of course, it's a school computer room. This was an educational game. I had no idea. Just here, I briefly explain. See this fellow here? He likes pizza, but he keeps changing his mind what he wants. And behind this bubble, you can pick the kind of pizza you give him. There's about 120 different combinations of pizza. But I only need to make 4 pizzas to find the perfect pizza for him, because he tells me, oh, I don't like something on these, and I need a bit more on these. So it's like the game of Mastermind. It's logical, deductive reasoning. And I became a programmer, so I think maybe this had something to do with it. And it didn't stop here, because a few years later, I got a homework assignment. Make a map, a cartographic map of your home. And I wanted to play SimCity. So I did, and I made a map of my home in SimCity, which was okay. The teacher was like, no, this isn't right, but this one time I'll accept it. But it turned out, okay, I wish this was my home, but I just can't run SimCity on my current computer, so I had to take a screenshot from the internet. Roughly, let's say this is my road, and my school was here, my house was here, and this main road running through, the council was planning to build a pedestrian crossing for safety for the students. And they said, let's build it just here, because that's where most of the traffic is. And I wrote to the, I don't know the right word, local minister of building pedestrian crossings. I was like, just here, this is where we all cross to school. Like, nobody crosses the road here, because the sweet shop's here. Like, where do you spend your lunch money? At the sweet shop on the way to school, of course. Finland, free school dinners, very good idea. So we wrote this letter, and they moved the pedestrian crossing based on me playing this game, which I think is a pretty good sign that games can have benefits. And so we carried on. This is what we're making right now. So Antidote is a game all about immunology. So if you, well, all my examples are slightly violent. If you scratch yourself at the summer house, for example, and it's a rusty old fork, you're going to get a little bit of tetanus, probably. So in this game, tetanus comes and it gives off lots of very vicious toxins. Tetanus, the bacteria, is actually, it's not called tetanus as a bacteria, but it's actually harmless. But the toxin it gives off completely destroys any cell that it comes into contact with. So we modeled all that in this game, and we wrapped it up in a form that children already like to play, and actually I like to play, and quite a lot of adults. So it's just a strategic game that you can play on your phone. But if you also know a little bit about immunology, it will help. And if you don't, by the time you're finished, you get a doctorate in biology. Oh, that was a joke, come on. But it actually goes right the way up to university level biology. There are concepts that are being developed and researched right now, such as gene modification of viruses, so that viruses can be used to defeat bacteria in your body as a kind of new form of vaccine. And the examples really don't stop. So in the research that was mentioned, I totally agree. If you search for learning games on the internet, it is like wading through a sewage facility. It's a terrible, terrible domain. They have very low budgets and very difficult time actually developing their games. But if you search for games about physics, there are thousands. About economics, hundreds. Social geography, there's at least 20, and they're not small games. These games are some of the most played games on computer platforms. There are games about mental health. Actually, interestingly, there's a lot of games about mental sickness. Not so many about mental health, but has anyone played a Lost Phone? So it's a game where you play on your phone, and it's as if you found someone else's phone. And it tells, through discovering, you have to poke around their files. It's like you feel a bit filthy doing it, but that's the game. You poke around the phone, and you find out that this person's really, really, really in a very difficult situation. They have an abusive family, and it's for no fair reason whatsoever, and you can explore their life, and it's thrilling, and it opened my eyes on a subject that I'm supposed to be very familiar with, but I had no idea the kind of pain and suffering that it can cause. So, plenty of examples. And the question that I want to finish on today is, it's kind of difficult to fit games into the classroom environment. So I want you to ask me and yourself and those around you, how can we make it so that games can be another tool that we can use in the classroom to inspire and to teach people, like a textbook, but more fun, I guess. If you say fun in a conference, it's like, don't say that word. No one can define what fun is, but how can we get the benefits out of games? And that's my last slide, because I think that you all have answers to this, and that's what I want to know. So, I have an end slide, yeah. You can take a picture of it. If you want the copy of these slides or to ask me anything, then you can use these informations to do so. So, oh my, 28 minutes. 2 minutes early. 2 minutes of questions. So, thank you very much. I don't see any questions, and I guess it's probably good to move to the next chunk, so. Yeah, okay, thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Moi.